Guys have come in looking really good. I think they've built up a nice foundation over the offseason. You know, everybody's in exactly the spot where we were hoping they would be. Stuff is crisp, but not like almost too good, so you're concerned. So there's been a nice balance of guys handling what they need to, getting into live EPs right now. So I feel like as a whole, the staff's in a really good place.
What does that look like for him? Obviously, we've heard the timeline for him. What's it going to look like for him trying to get out of this, whether it's him being to the stadium?
Yeah, I think it's like getting through his bullpen progression and making sure we have the good foundation there. And then once we hit those benchmarks, get into some live BPs facing hitters. And then once the season goes, talking with like Doc and Pryor and kind of figuring out, you know, when Shohei wants to do these and finding a cadence to it that we can, A, get things done while on the road. So there's some complicating factors. So it's kind of looking at the schedule. We have a general sense of what we'd like to do right now, but obviously once we get there, continue to talk to Sho and build him up so that, you know, he's not going to be able to go on a rehab assignment, so that he feels as prepared as possible whenever it is time to get into a re-game. Yeah, I mean, he's like, it's really fun watching. It was, you know, obviously amazing watching him work on the hitting side last year, and then you almost forget that he does both at such a high level. And the same thing when he's going through his hitting routine. Like, everything is so methodical and well thought out. He's trying to find a feel and like how, you know, how things are moving, where his command is. So he holds himself to a really high standard, and it's not a surprise that he's as great as he is with that work ethic.
If I understand it right, the rule was changed in 2020, and you can send him out on a rehab. I think that's very fair, and then still have him active in the lineup.
That would be right. That would be really hard.
Do I understand the rule?
I'm not sure. We haven't even looked into it just because we're not willing to, you know, give up the DH at that point. I do think it would create additional stress on the body having to travel. There's just some complicating factors there.
Figure it in.
We could, but then like, how does that work into the previous 7 days? And so there's a lot of things that you could do it. Looking at the schedule, figuring out, okay, we'll just work it on this day and build up the progression.
How confident are you? I think the guy hasn't been pitched in a major league game. It'll be a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is. As a major league starter, it'll be enough, not if you're actually some competitive guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that would be conversations with Sho, but I think understanding that these are going to be treated as your rehab games, there will be an inherent uptick in, you know, effort, and if he's not getting out of those what he needs, then we can pivot. But, you know, that'll be the plan right now, and we'll see how it's landing with him, how he's feeling, and if we have to make an adjustment, we certainly will.
Where was Shohei, like, velo-wise today during his bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been right in range where he wants to be, and kind of like making sure we're not jumping ahead steps. And I think you kind of have that range in the bullpen that he's, you know, progressing nicely, and then the hitters kind of ramp up the next bit of intensity. So it's a nice, you know, easy way to build up a foundation of volume and intensity, and just going along those ways. Now, he's done this before, so he has an idea of what it's going to feel like, how he, you know, kind of the benchmarks that he wants to hit, and then, you know, we all continue to talk about things. But feels like he's right where he needs to be.
With Roki, kind of how has the process gone of kind of figuring out what his third and maybe what the pitch is going to look like this year? And is there stuff that you guys have kind of targeted that you want him throwing, or that you think kind of suits him?
Yeah, I think right now it's like letting Roki get his feet wet, get into the swing of things, acclimated to camp. There's just a lot of factors. You know, we kind of saw it with Yama last year, and just making sure he's getting into his groove, and then we'll start getting into potential adjustments that we would like to make. But I think that's probably a little bit further down the road. Like the current package is obviously really, really good, and then it's about once we feel like that is in place, okay, let's try to add on, make some adjustments that we think make sense.
Do you think he can like primarily be like a two-pitch pitcher mixing in a third pitch sometimes, or does he kind of need that third pitch to be like a consistent part?
I mean, I think with his command and how good like velocity command the split is, I think he can be majority those two pitches, and then anything on top of that is just kind of a cherry on top. So like the foundational pieces of a really good pitcher are there, and then now it's about like understanding that he is young, he does have room to develop. You don't want to pull on those levers too quickly and potentially give up something else or add additional risk in there. So being very thoughtful of how we do things, but like what's in place right now has a chance to be a really good starting pitcher.
How likely do you think it is he's pitching that second game?
I think there's a good chance right now. Obviously, there's a long time in between there, and we want to make sure that he continues to build up and get his feedback and see how things play out. So certainly not set in stone, but those are conversations that we'll have along the way. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of everything, and you don't know until you get into it. It's a lot. It's a lot. Like you said, the travel. There's just the depth of the lineups, and there's obviously the crowds, and so there's just a lot of things that go into it. So trying to keep as many constants and making sure we're not adding too many variables along the way, I think will be really important. And just know that this is an incredibly talented guy. Let that play out, and then as he's adjusting to these things, making sure we're being mindful of all of the different factors before we start making any adjustments.
What should we really expect from
Yeah, I mean, I think our hitting guys have been really excited. Like he's coming in and really working hard, and the aptitude's very high. So he's making some of the adjustments they're looking to make for him to be able to handle, big league pitching. Obviously, there's a difference in velocity and just quality of stuff. So he's on a good track. He looks good. He's really high energy, fitting in very well, and kind of let the spring play out and see how those things manifest.
Brandon, how do you evaluate a guy in the KBO and kind of how his swing might play when he's coming over?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of see swing path. You get makeup on the work ethic and how coachable he is, which that was like through the roof. So then you're betting on there's bat to ball there, really good athlete, has gotten even more physical over the off season. So there's a lot of really good pieces in place, and then you bet on the aptitude and the athlete to be able to make the adjustments, because there's really no way to simulate that other than just seeing major league pitching and high-end pitching that's just different than what he has seen in the past. So we'll continue to evaluate and bet on him making the adjustments down the road.
I hear he's your body fat leader on the roster.
For sure. And he hides it well because he's always got long sleeves, but yeah, he's in really good shape, and he's added some real mass. So like I said, he's a fantastic athlete.
Is he going to open the majors this year for sure, or is there a chance if he struggles in spring on the offensive side to be in the majors?
I think there's so much unknown between now and opening day, and seeing how the roster plays out, how he looks. But we're excited with like what he's brought to the table, the energy, the defense has been really impressive, and the work ethic he's really pouring into the adjustments that Robert and Bates have asked him to make. So it's been fun to watch, and we'll kind of let the spring play out.
Who else is the other side of the body fit?
That's a bad question. Yeah.
How do you think a lot of that is happening since the game? That's really good. At what point did you reflect on these last year
Yeah, obviously you can point to the New York outing as like wow, this is the high end of what he's capable of, and unfortunately, you know, he got hurt after that. But like really watching him navigate the first playoff game, kind of give up those runs, come back in battle, and then really take off after that. I think there's a real confidence that, hey, I can be one of the best pitchers in the game, and there's just been a different level of focus. Obviously, he's not dealing with as many adjustments this year, but like his lives, his pens, there's like a whole nother level of intensity, and like I think he's primed for a big year.
With Shohei, his first two bullpens, he's been thrown out of the windup. So if he starts these guys would know better. But every Cactus I hit him, I don't think he threw out of the windup. Mostly in the stretch at all. Was that a change that you guys suggested he wanted to make?
Yeah, not that I know of that we made. I think it's probably a better question for him, but I could imagine trying to get some rhythm and getting to him feeling his arm stroke in a better way. But yeah, I'm not fully up to speed on that. It'll be a good question for him at some point. Yeah.
Yoshinobu is pitching he's pitching like the middle of the season, like he's pitching really well. Do you worry that he's going to peak already in the season?
No, I mean, I think he's always prepared this way, where he comes in and you know, he's ready to go. He takes care of himself so well, and now he's kind of set the foundation, and he understands what he needs to do to navigate a season and the expectations of what happens come October. So I think Yama's in a great place, and I'm really excited for him to get out competing in games.
With Russia, what do you see from him in the next 2 months for
Yeah, he's really diving in on the game calling and how to handle pitching meetings. There's been different almost like mock meetings going on right now to get him up to speed. It's a really high standard that we have, and there's so much that goes into the game planning and then relaying that message to the pitchers in an effective way. So really pouring himself into the defensive side. The offense is in a really good place. You can always find tweaks there, but I think it's very much his receiving, his game calling. We've really seen it. He's spending the time on the game calling, watching him catch our guys in bullpens. He's working really hard, and he's moving the ball really well right now.
Is the mock meetings the new
I mean, I think it's to kind of help guys. It's a hard thing, and it's an intimidating experience to come up and lead a meeting or be a big part of a meeting where you have these veteran pitchers, a coaching staff that has done this at a high level for so long. So doing everything we can to shorten that learning curve for guys to get there is really important.
How many innings is he going to play first outfield at all this spring going forward?
I think it's a majority catch and maybe some first base here and there. But I think, like we said, we need to pour into the defensive side and catching.
Bobby Miller last year.
Bobby, he was battling a lot of knee stuff last year that I think contributed to some of the shoulder that he went on initially. But he was really struggling with knee pain, and that we addressed it this offseason, and now he's to the point where this offseason he was running 2 miles 5-6 times a week, and adding that workload to that, and he contributes. A really good offseason, taking care of himself. It's helped the shoulder. We've identified a few things there to hopefully keep that under control. But he's coming in great shape, really good look in his eyes, and he's determined to bounce back. It basically presented as tendonitis, and there's it's just something.
Drive leg, correct? The right leg?
It was, yes, the drive leg. Both of them were not. Both of them were not great, if I remember correctly. But the good thing is that he's in a great place right now, and his pens, his lives, have all been pretty sharp, and I know he's excited to get going.
What do you say to a young guy like that who looks up and sees Snell and Glasnow, Sasaki and Yamamoto, and all these guys that he has to compete with?
I mean, I think it's go out, control what you can control. He was 38 pitches last year.
40. You're not counting Miggy and PJ.
Okay, excuse
That's
me,
not
40,
fair.
40 pitchers, and I think it's go out, put your head down, execute the way you're capable of, and create an opportunity. Sometimes they come up in different ways, but for us, we're focused on winning as many games as possible, and whoever helps us do that, we'll get the shot.